Okay, let's do problem 10.1 together. This is valuing bonds, so we're going to calculate some bond valuations. And the beauty of valuing bonds is that it's a time value of money problem. You're pretty familiar with those now that you've gone through Chapter 9 and all the problems associated with Chapter 9. And you should be relatively familiar with the use of the calculator. Well, we're going to be able to use the calculator to solve for these problems, calculating the bond's value, which is really a present value calculation. You'll see that in just a minute, but we're calculating the present value of a future level of cash flows, both interest cash flows and the final payment of principal back to us based on certain yields to maturity. So you'll see how that all works in just a minute. Lone Star Company has $1,000 par value bonds outstanding at 10% interest. The bonds will mature in 20 years. Compute the current price of the bonds if the present yield to maturity is A, B, and C, 6, 9, and 13%. So let's do 6% first. Okay, with 6%, let's read this again. Lone Star & Company has $1,000 par value bonds. That means that's their stated value, and that's the amount of money we're going to receive at the time of maturity. So that would be its future value, the bond's future cash we can expect to receive when this bond matures. It's outstanding at 10% interest. So you have to be careful here. We're valuing the bond at a yield to maturity of 6%. This is not the interest rate we want to put in here. 10% is not the interest rate we want to put in here. The 10% number here, which is its coupons, the bond's coupons rate, is going to help us calculate this. So this payment is going to equal the coupon rate of 10% times the bond's face value, which is $1,000. Okay. Okay. Coupon rate times the bond's face value is going to be the payment amount. That's the amount of interest we're going to receive each year, and that happens to be 100. Okay. So we have to keep that in mind. The bonds are going to mature in 20 years. So 20 years is going to be our N, the number of periods, and present value is what we're solving for. Okay, we're trying to calculate the current price of the bond. That's the current value or the present value of the bond at 6% interest. So 6% is actually going to be the rate we'll use here in our formula and in our calculations. So let's go ahead. We're going to remember compute present value after we put everything into our calculator. So the first thing I'll do is turn my calculator on and second FV. That'll clear my previous time value of money calculations. Then I'll type the number 20 and N, 6 IY, 100 PMT, 1000 FV, and then compute PV, and I get 1,458.80. In other words, an investor at a yield to maturity of 6%, they're getting 10% coupon rate on this bond. They're willing to pay more than the face value of the bond because the interest rate is so much higher, this coupon rate, than the yield to maturity. Alright, so I'll let you do B on your own, see if you can figure that one out, but we'll do C together because you'll see the opposite effect here. N is still 20 under this scenario. IY now changes to 13%. Okay, we're still looking for the present value or the value of that bond, the present value of the bond. The coupon rate hasn't changed. That's still $100. And the future value hasn't changed. So in my calculator, if I want to make this simple, all of these variables have stayed the same except this one. So if I want to just simply change this one variable in the calculation and compute present value again, I can do that. So now those numbers again. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type 13 and push the IY button, and then I'm going to go ahead and compute my present value again. And you'll see that now when I do this, the value drops to $789.26. Okay, in other words, an investor, because it's the yield to maturity on bonds of like nature are expected to be 13%. This bond is only paying 10%. Therefore, I'm not willing to pay its full face value to own that bond. I'm going to pay something less so that the net rate that I receive on my investment will end up being 13%.